Hello. How's it going? You can't be laughing. Wardrobe for today. Union Jack. Pittsburgh Pirates. That's my outfit. Hello, YouTube. How's it going? Welcome back to Brandon's Bees. If you're new, if you're a new person, just come over to watch me work with bees. I say welcome. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back. So, I have a filmographer now. Filmographer? Cinematographer. Mrs. Brandon's Bees will be filming this. She will not be on camera, but just know that she's behind the scenes making it happen. Alright? So today is July 16th, Saturday, July 16th, and we're going to check the bees, just see how they're doing. I don't know if they're going to need anything really, but we'll see what happens when I check them. There's a couple of frames I'm hoping they filled out completely by now, and last time I checked them they had a lot of honey in there, so maybe we'll add the flow frames again. I had them on before, but took them off because they weren't done building out the rest of the brood box. But if they're built out now, I might add them back. We'll see. So I'm going to light my smoker now. Pine needles. Lighter. Light the pine needles with the lighter. That's a little pine needles. Oh, these are really on fire. Smoke follows beauty. So another thing I have this week is I'm adding burlap, and I think this will help it burn a little longer and more consistent. So I always use untreated burlap. Don't use treated burlap because treated burlap has fungicides and stuff in it, which isn't good for your bees. So if you're going to use burlap, make sure it's untreated. When you start to see flames out of the top, like that, you know it's ready to go. So, I don't really want to put it on black. So now I'll take this burlap, stick it in there. There you go. Perfect. So I'm not going to start with the gloves, although I do have them ready if I need to. Let's go over to the hive. I have my hive tool, which I've cleaned off since last time. What I do is I take my hive tool, and when I'm done checking the bees for the day, I'll take my hive tool and I'll open up my smoker, put it in there in the lit smoker, and I'll run air over it. Get the flames high on the inside the smoker, what's left of the fuel for the smoker, and then I'll just burn all the honey and wax and everything that I built up on my hive tool. So that's why it's kind of black from the bottom to the top. It's important to clean the hive tool because you need clean tools. It's my motto. Always clean your tool. So I learned this trick from a friend of mine. For him it works every time. For me, never. So that friend I was talking about, his channel is Vino Farm. And it's a farm. I live in California and his farm's in Massachusetts. And I watch all of his videos, and we both have Flow Hives and bought them at the same time and all that stuff. So I guess we're friends now, and I'm always looking for more friends. So if you want to subscribe to my channel, we can be friends. If you don't want to subscribe, it's a free country, but I think you're making a mistake. Alright, so always make sure your bee suit is secure. Because the last thing you want is a rogue bee inside of your bee hood. So like I talked about in the last video, one of the things I like to do first is check this board. And what I'm looking at is a little strange. I don't know what this is. I'm not sure what these are. It might be moth droppings, and I'm going to find out. So that's why I'm going to open up the hive. Lots of pollen, but I don't know what this is. I don't know if you can see it. This is not really a close-up camera, but there's little black spots on the thing, so I'm going to check that. If I do find moth larvae, I'll be surprised because my bees are kind of pretty hardy. The entrance a little smoke, the inner cover a little smoke. Then you let it sit for a minute. What I want to do first is I want to check this hive trap, this beetle trap. See what I got in it, if anything. Very little. There's like 4 beetles in there. If there's no beetles in there, that's good. Although if there are beetles in the hive and they're not in the trap, that's bad. I can feel this one's heavy. Right off the bat. So, lots of pollen. Also some brood in the middle. Mostly pollen, honey around the edges. Tons of pollen on this side. Honey where there's not pollen. And a little bit of brood spread here and there. So the first frame I always take out and put on this hive stand, just so it's out of the way. I don't use too much smoke, just enough to get them out of the way. A few puffs will do it. This one is also heavy. Brood, lots of young brood, pollen, honey stores. They're storing honey where I think the queen wants to lay too, so I think it's time to give them more room. This is all honey around the edges. And then you can see there's pollen mixed in here. And then right in here, move them out of the way. This is all brood cells, see, filled in, cap. But also if you look in between, anytime there's a fresh egg that's come out or an empty brood cell, they're putting honey in there. So that means they may end up honey bound, and you don't want that to happen. Honey bound means that the worker bees are bringing in so much nectar that they're filling up the spaces that the queen uses to lay eggs, and then eventually you run out of space for eggs. And when you run out of space for eggs, it means you run out of new bees. And then the colony is productive, it's producing itself into eradication. And you don't want that to happen. That's one of the jobs of the beekeeper, to make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen. You want a lot of bees, but you want a lot of the right bees doing the right thing. Now this frame that I'm about to take out is an old frame. I can tell because it's dark, and I also started my hive with a nuke. And dark frames means they're older. The bees have been using them longer. So this is one of the frames that came with my nuke. The queen's just laying everywhere she can. This is all full of new brood, old brood, honey around the edges. Babies fresh laid, babies getting ready to hatch. This is what you want. That's exactly what you want. This is an ideal frame. Looking at this makes me very happy. As you can tell from my smile. Look at this solid brood pattern. This is like, I don't know, I haven't counted them, but it's a lot of bees getting ready to hatch out. This is a sign of a productive queen. she fills in every hole she can with an egg. And these were all laid around the same time, and these will all hatch out around the same time. This is honey around the top that's been capped and ready to go. And these are all eggs. See how filled in that is? That means you've got a very good queen who's doing her job exactly the way she's supposed to. You can't ask for anything more from a healthy queen. It's a sign of a healthy hive, sign of everything going the way it's supposed to, and everything's working out. The other side is almost identical. Full of brood, all the way around, honey around the edges. They put honey around the edges and pollen, because when the brood hatches out, the first thing they do is they eat. They go for pollen, and then the rest of the hive goes for honey. See? So this is what you want to see. It's important to make sure your frames are all straight up and down, not sideways. No, you don't want them to be like this. You want them to be up and down, not.
Don't go still for a second.
This is the bottom box. See how full my wax bucket is? What a wax. So this is the bottom box. It'll be interesting to see. I want to see what's over here on this back corner, because on the bottom board right here, right back here in the back corner is where I found the black specks. So because I want to see what's on this back corner, I'm going to start here on the back corner. I think I'll put the smoker over here. This frame is light. I don't see much in there except for a bunch of beetles crawling around. Honey on the inside. So they are using it for honey. But on this side, on the outside side of the frame, I see a lot of beetles coming in and out. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple of new frames, because those ones look like they're a little tapped out. I have extras, and I'm going to put them on this bottom box. Beetle traps. Okay, this frame's all built out. Honey on this side. More honey on this side. I can hear the bees starting to buzz. So just give them a little smoke. I don't want them to get aggravated on me. This frame's all built out. Half of this frame. This half of the frame is drone comb. And this half of the frame is brood. See, the queen's not laying any more drone eggs, but they're starting to fill it in with honey. She is laying worker brood though. See right here? So I don't know how they know that, not what to lay and what not to lay, but they do. I don't know how they know a lot of things, but they do. So this is all becoming honey storage, and this she's continuing to lay on. They built all this themselves, so I didn't have anything to do with it. So somehow they just know what to build, and they know what to fill it with when the time is right. See, same on this side. Drone comb on the left, worker brood on the right, still laying brood eggs on the right, all honey storage on the left. Here's a frame they're still building on. See how they're held onto each other at the bottom? That's called festooning, where they link together and then they build out the comb. So one bee will produce wax and the other one will stick it on the comb, and they just keep going down like that. There's also honey production in here and some brood. I'm not going to bother them. I'm going to put it back. One of my pet peeves is when they're festooning and I take the frame out and I jiggle a little bit and they all fall off of each other. Just makes me feel like they're doing all this work to become cohesive as a unit, and I just messed it all up. So I try not to if I can. It doesn't hurt them, and they're just going to grab onto each other again. It's kind of a mental thing to do. When you're satisfied with what you came to look for, that's a good time to stop. Okay. So a couple things I want to get done. Add some more beetle traps. And my flow frames. I'm going to put these beetle traps on the bottom box because that's where I saw most of the beetles that are still alive. So, you just drop them in, the bees will move out of the way. And you got to make sure they're tight against the frames. Otherwise the beetles will hide underneath rather than go into the face. So what you want to do is you want to put the boxes together at an angle and then slide them together. So if there are bees in the way, they'll get pushed out of the way rather than smashed when you put the boxes back together. I mean, some bees are going to die every time. There's nothing you can do about that. But you want to minimize the carnage. This is a flow frame. And inside the flow frame is where the bees are going to store the excess honey that I'm going to harvest. They filled up the hive enough that I know they're ready for these frames because they're running out of room. So I'm going to give them this to store their excess honey so the queen still has room to lay her eggs for the season. It's only July right now, so she's got a lot of laying time left. So I don't want all of her space taken up by honey storage, which is what I can see my bees are doing. So inside of this squirt bottle, I've got sugar water. I'm going to spray on the frames to make them attractive to the bees because these are made out of plastic. And although they are the right shape and size, the bees are going to have to do some work on them. So I had them in once before, but the bees weren't ready, and I could tell that they already propolized kind of the bottom part. But this is just to give them a little bit of an incentive to go up there. So they'll go up, taste the sugar, and decide, oh, this is lovely. I would love to stay up here. And in fact, I want to stay up here for so long, I'm going to put my own honey up here. And then when I'm relaxing at the end of a long day, I can come up here, have a little honey, store some honey, relax with my sisters, you know, that kind of thing. Because I think bees talk like that, don't they? Don't they like go out and relax at nighttime when they're not working? Maybe in my brain that's what they do. This is just 100% sugar water. Delicious. If you live on a diet like bees do, you'll get diabetes real fast. Type 2 diabetes. Because this is sugary water. I have it all over my face, I'm being told by my wife. It's fine. It's fine. It's a life I live. I don't care. This isn't a fashion show. I mean, look what you wear. Come on. So one thing I will say while I'm doing this is, when I checked the hive, I didn't see any sign of wax moth. No wax moth, no nothing. So I don't know where those black droppings came from. Maybe there were wax moths in there at one time and the bees got rid of them. I don't know. If you know what they were, please feel free to let me know. So now, I'll take my flow frames, which I've already all sized, they're all ready to go, and I'll put them on my hive. One of my videos, my past videos, I told you I bought a metal queen excluder because I think it's more durable, will last longer, better for the bees. Okay.